Have you ever wondered why some people seem to live two lives at once, as if one half of them is speaking to the world, while the other half is whispering to the stars? Throughout history, there was one name that carried the power of words beyond time: Hermes, the divine messenger. Known as the guide between worlds, he moved effortlessly between heaven and earth, delivering messages from the gods to humankind. But Hermes was more than a messenger. He was a bridge between thought and understanding, between chaos and meaning. His spirit lives on in those born under the sign of Gemini, the twins of the Zodiac. Curious, brilliant, and endlessly dual. Gemini, the symbol of communication and transformation. Hermes believed that every word spoken carries the power to shape reality, and those who understand this truth are the ones who hold the keys to evolution. Gemini are the living echoes of this belief. They are not just thinkers or talkers, they are the translators of the universe, turning silence into language and thought into motion. But who is Hermes, really? And why did he see Gemini as the bearers of his divine gift? Let's travel back to the origins of myth and meaning to uncover the secret that connects Gemini to the voice of the cosmos. In Greek mythology, Hermes was not just a god of messages, he was the embodiment of movement and connection. Born with wings on his feet, he symbolized the speed of thought and freedom of mind. He could travel anywhere between realms, between gods and mortals, between light and shadow, reason and intuition. This very ability to exist between extremes made him the first archetype of Gemini, the twin souls who dance between contradictions. Ancient astrologers believed that when Mercury rules the sky, humanity enters a phase of great awakening. Ideas spread faster, connections multiply, and the voice of truth becomes louder. Gemini carries this mercurial energy in their soul, restless, curious, and forever seeking. They question everything, not because they doubt, but because they wish to understand. They gather fragments of the world and weave them into new patterns of meaning. Hermes once said that words are bridges. They do not belong to the speaker or the listener, but to the space between, and that is exactly where Gemini lives. In the space between people, between logic and emotion, between knowing and feeling. That delicate balance makes them both fascinating and misunderstood. Many see Gemini as inconsistent, always changing, but Hermes would smile at that. He would say, "They are not inconsistent, they are infinite." For every thought leads to another, every story reveals a hidden truth, and every conversation opens a new door. Gemini live in that endless motion, the breath of the universe that refuses to stand still. Imagine a world without their questions, without their curiosity, without their words to connect the silent hearts of humankind. Perhaps it would be a quieter world, but would it still be alive? Hermes believed that it would not. Hermes believed that words were not born to fill the silence. They were created to awaken the sleeping parts of the soul. He often said that a single sentence, spoken at the right moment, could open a doorway that even centuries of silence could not close. Gemini carries this truth deep within. Their minds are filled with questions, but their hearts hold something even more powerful: the desire to connect, to understand, and to be understood. They are born with an invisible pair of wings, just like Hermes, allowing their thoughts to travel faster than anyone else's. They can move from idea to idea, from emotion to emotion, with a grace that feels almost otherworldly. They do not walk through life, they flow through it. But this gift is also their burden, because to understand everything means to feel everything, too. And while the world praises their quick wit and charm, few truly see the quiet exhaustion behind their smile. For every truth they uncover, there is another they must question. For every connection they create, there is a distance they must bridge. Hermes knew this paradox well. He understood that the twin nature of Gemini was not a curse, it was balance itself. One twin reaches for logic, the other reaches for meaning. One speaks, the other listens to what remains unsaid. Together, they become the language of creation, the dialogue between the seen and the unseen. Gemini is not just the sign of communication, it is the sign of translation, turning feelings into words, and words into understanding. They see the invisible threads that connect minds and hearts, and they know that no idea can truly live until it is shared. That is why Gemini is drawn to stories, to conversation, to anything that allows them to bring ideas into light. They are not content with knowing they need to express, to teach, to awaken curiosity in others. Because when they speak, they do not merely share information, they transmit energy. And sometimes, without realizing it, they change the way others see the world. Hermes once whispered that language is the first form of magic. He believed that every word carries a vibration, a resonance, that travels farther than the speaker could ever imagine. When spoken with truth, a word can heal, inspire, and transform. When spoken carelessly, it can wound or divide. That is why the power of Gemini lies not only in their intelligence, but in their intention. They are here to remind humanity that communication is not about noise, it is about connection. To speak is to share a piece of the soul. To listen is to receive one in return. Imagine, just for a moment, a world where everyone listened as deeply as Gemini does and spoke with the same sincerity. Would there still be so many walls between us? Or would words finally become bridges again, just as Hermes intended? When Hermes looked at humanity, he saw confusion and beauty intertwined. He knew that the future would depend not on who holds the most power, but on who can understand each other. And that is why he entrusted the energy of Gemini to guide human consciousness forward, to turn the noise of the world into a symphony of meaning. Gemini's journey has always been that of the bridge builder, between minds, between hearts, between worlds. They live at the crossroads of thought and emotion, and from that sacred intersection, they weave understanding. Hermes called them the keepers of the echo, for they carry not just words, but the intention behind them. Every whisper they share, every idea they spread, ripples across unseen distances, and eventually, it returns. But Hermes knew that even the brightest message could be lost if the world forgot how to listen. He foresaw a time when noise would grow louder than meaning, when words would spread faster than truth, and silence would become a rare luxury. That time is now. We live in an age of infinite voices, millions of messages flying through the air, colliding, blending, disappearing. Yet, beneath all that chaos, the energy of Gemini still whispers. Connection is not about speaking more, it is about understanding deeper. In this modern world, Gemini souls are everywhere. They are the writers, the teachers, the communicators, the artists who turn emotion into language, and the thinkers who dare to question what everyone else accepts. They remind us that the power of communication is not only in the words we use, but in the honesty behind them. When the world divides, Gemini builds a bridge. When people stop listening, Gemini asks the right question. When fear closes hearts, Gemini opens a window and lets the air of understanding flow in again. This is not an easy path, because to be a messenger is to live between storms. They absorb noise, confusion, contradiction, and must somehow turn it into harmony. They carry the burden of translation, of speaking truth in a world addicted to illusion. Yet, even when their voices tremble, they keep speaking, because deep inside, they know words are the wings that help humanity rise above itself. Gemini does not fear change. They become it. They move with the shifting winds of time, translating new realities into words we can understand. Their curiosity is not restlessness, it is evolution in motion. Through every conversation, they teach us to think again, to feel again, to remember that communication is not a war, it is an art of empathy. Hermes believed that the universe hides its wisdom in the spaces between words, and Gemini, with their dual nature, can hear those spaces, the pauses, the sighs, the unspoken emotions that give meaning to sound. That is why their laughter can heal, and their silence can speak louder than any sermon. Throughout history, souls carrying Gemini's light have always appeared at turning points. They were the ones who dared to share new ideas, who questioned the old order, and sparked revolutions not with weapons, but with words. When Galileo looked up and told the world that the Earth moves around the sun, that was Gemini energy speaking through courage. when poets wrote about freedom, when teachers challenged ignorance, when voices of truth rose against oppression, Hermes was there, whispering through them, reminding the world that no truth is ever born in silence. And now, in an era where information flows faster than thought, the call of Gemini is louder than ever, to use knowledge not as a weapon, but as light, to transform the noise of confusion into the music of understanding. Perhaps that is the real prophecy Hermes left behind, that the salvation of humankind will not come from power or wealth, but from communication that heals instead of divides. Because words, when spoken with compassion, are the most sacred form of creation. Gemini holds that creation in their voice. They are the twin messengers of change. One twin speaks to awaken minds, the other listens to heal hearts. Together, they form the bridge that keeps humanity whole. So the next time you meet a Gemini, do not try to define them, for they are not meant to be contained. They are the wind that carries stories, the spark that ignites understanding, the quiet echo between two souls who finally see each other. And maybe, just maybe, that is what Hermes wanted us to learn all along. That communication is not about being heard, but about remembering that we were never alone. Because every word we speak is a message returning to the stars. And somewhere, beyond the clouds, Hermes still listens, smiling, knowing that the conversation continues. If you are a Gemini, or if someone close to you carries their light, share your story in the comments below. Tell us what words have changed your life. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us as we continue decoding the hidden messages written across the stars. The universe is still speaking, and sometimes it speaks in your voice.